I know we have a number of other registrants, so it may be that the additional people will join over the next couple of minutes. But just so we can maximize our time here with KJ, I'll just do our little introductory spiel. I'm Jennifer Stevens, the Regional Director at the Missoula Small Business Development Center, and happy to welcome you to the Small Business Webinar Series 2023. Just to let you know, the webinar is being recorded and it will be posted online after the event so that you can review it, or anyone that wasn't able to make it could view it after the fact. Also, KJ will be providing the slide deck and also a PDF that will be available to attendees and registrants later. So we put on this webinar series every year. It's once a month on the first Thursday of the month, a half an hour kind of overview of a relevant small business topic. Today we'll be talking about Canva with KJ Canley. She's the owner of KJ Small Biz Cafe, and she's been working in her field for over 30 years. So I'm really grateful she can be here. She's done some other stuff with us in the past and just has a wealth of knowledge. This webinar series is sponsored by the Montana SBDC program, the Montana Department of Commerce, the SBA, MSU, and MEDA, Montana Economic Developers Association, with additional support from Great Falls, GFDA, and the University of Montana, which host the SBDC programs in Great Falls and Missoula, respectively. So great to have you all here today, and I'll turn it over to KJ so she can, help us do more with the tools that we have out there. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for being here. And as Jen said, I've been at this for a number of years. I actually started my graphic design career with Photoshop version 2 or 3, something like that. So that dates me a little bit ago. And the first websites that I built, I actually had to write HTML code to build them because that's all we had at that point. So when Jen and I first started talking about what we were going to do for this class, and she was talking about customer engagement, we also talked about brand recognition a bit. And I said, the absolute best information that I can share with people in relation to building customer retention and brand recognition is to learn to build and use templates. So let me point out one thing on my slides real quick. If you see this little PDF icon down in the bottom right-hand corner, that information is going to be offered in a PDF single page file to you besides being on the templates. So don't feel like you have to write all of these things down. So why are building and using templates such a big deal in my world? Well, visual consistency, obviously, when we talk about brand recognition and customer engagement. And a lot of this I'm going to go through pretty darn quick because you do have the recording to look through. Streamlining your workflow. Anytime things are easier, it makes our life as a small business person easier. And the amount of time that templates saves is absolutely unbelievable when you start using them. Canva, like I mentioned a bit ago when somebody asked what it was, it's a design tool for non-graphic designers. And why do I suggest using it? It's one of the best little tools I have found, and it's got an easy learning curve. There's all kinds of templates, images, and graphics already there that you can use and drag and drop. You can save files online and share them with other people. And then you've got a lot of download options. And then you also have options for uploading immediately to social media if you choose to go that way with it. So this is what we're going to do today and what you can do with Canva. Just about anything you want to do print and online, you can create with Canva. And what we're going to do today is we're going to pretend we're a small business building a template that we want to reuse so that we can work on graphics both for social media and for print files. And so you're going to see how that works in Canva, editing text and graphics and uploading files and saving those files for templates and then downloading a finished product. And then again, follow along with the SBDC recording later on because we're going to go through this pretty darn quick. So let's head over to Canva and see what that looks like. Come on, Canva. Okay, Jen, do you guys see my Canva screen now?
Yes, sure do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is your Canva home screen. Once you sign up and get a subscription, and this is the free subscription to Canva, you've got basic menus across the top. When you're building and designing files, you've got a menu across the middle here that is very similar and almost gives you the same thing as the menu on the left that's called your template menu. On these templates, you've got Instagram post, Instagram stories, etc., etc. I'm looking at all of those in Instagram because I actually have selected Instagram among these templates at the moment. So if you choose a template that you want to use, it really is cool the way it launches that for you. So if I click on this coming soon template that I thought I wanted to use that, it immediately opens it in the Canva work area. So I'm going to go back to the home screen because there's one other thing I want to show you there. And this is on the menu on the left where you have a projects folder. And this is where you can save things that you have already worked on. So when I click on that projects folder, you can see this is the one that we just opened. These are all recent files. And one of the really sweet things that Canva offers is you can create your own folders to put files in. So I have done that down here. This is an SBDC template folder. It's got 7 items in it. And these are the things that we're going to look at today. So this is one of the files that we're going to do. It's an Instagram post. And let me point out here, when you're at any of one of these that you have already used, you've got this little hamburger menu, which you can click, and it gives you additional options for make a copy of this file, move it to a folder, download, share it, throw it away, etc. So I've already got one of these blank ones opened. And you notice that I just opened a new tab. This was the file that we're going to start working on. And so you can have an idea of what we're actually doing. I'm going to minimize this Canvas. So I've got 2 Canva screens open right now. This is the Canva screen. And this is a different browser window with another Canva screen on it, just so you don't get confused as to why this additional thing is sitting on the side. What I have done here is give you an example of this is the menu that we started with, the Instagram post, and this is where we're going to change all of this to get to this. So this is a little restaurant. We want to create something that looks and feels like our brand, and we picked this as a good starting space. So anytime that you are in Canva, you've got your main work area where you work on a file, and then you've got a menu area on the left-hand side. Right now we're sitting in the design area of the menu. This is the elements area that shows you all different kinds of elements, things you've recently used, and other options. There's some really cool searches that are already there that you can use, or you can type in the search field for looking for elements. There's uploads, text, project folders. We'll look through these as we go. Whenever you're in Canva in your work area and you hover over something, it will show you that that's what you want to work on at any particular time. So let's say we want to get rid of this photo because we want to add the salad photo that we have in there. If we click on it, we can hit the delete key and it's going to go away. But that's kind of interesting on this particular one because the image went away and we've got this funky thing sitting here. What that is an image frame, because you can see on the far right, this image sits in a circle. What we're going to do is just a regular image sitting on the page. So these are image frames. And when you start to put an image on Canva, I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to go to my uploads because I uploaded my salad photo. And this is actually a photo that I got from within Canva. These are 2 of Canva's free photos. But if I wanted to upload a photo, I didn't have one there that I wanted yet, I would simply go up to the top where it says File Upload, click Upload Files, and this gives you your computer's menu where you can choose from the file that you wanted. click that file, click open. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to waste the bandwidth on my sometimes small bandwidth to take the time to do that. So we're going to assume that that photo has already uploaded it, and here it is. At this point, it's as simple as dragging it and dropping it. And you see what happened here. Now I have this rectangular photo sitting out here, but watch what happens to this purple box when I drag it over that circle. And you see that if I were to let go of it now it actually put that photo within that circular frame. If I don't want it in the circular frame, because we don't want this one in the circular frame, I'm going to click the hamburger menu, go down here where it says detach image, click detach image, and now it's no longer in the frame. I'm going to move it to the side. Here's the frame. And if you are looking for frames and want to put them on there, they're in the elements menu. You would just type in frames in the search bar. That would be something I would definitely suggest you play with when you have time. But for this particular piece, we don't want this frame. I'm just going to hit the delete key on my keyboard, and that gets rid of it. So I'm going to take this image, stick it out in here in the middle. This one actually size-wise is pretty good to what I want. If we had to resize it, there are two ways that you can resize graphics and images in Canva. You have little dots on the corners, and with those dots, it makes the entire image larger or smaller. You also have little handles on the side and on the top and bottom. This is where you crop an image. So you can crop it, make it larger and smaller, and design it like you want it as far as the proportions of the image go. Here's a really handy little tip. Watch right in the center, that pink line that pops up. That says, and then there's the one that's horizontal. That says this image at that point is centered exactly in the middle of my work area. Or the vertical center, not the horizontal center. So I'm thinking that looks pretty good at this point. I like where that image is. Anytime you have something selected in Canva, you have options for whatever that is that you have selected across the top. Everything from edit image options to flip it, to change its position, to, and it's really cool because when you hover over, it tells you what these are. Transparencies, you can link it to something else, you can lock it in place. This is a cool feature. You can copy styles. So if we had a style on that photo, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to put a style. It's called a style. We want to edit this image because we want to put a background shadow behind it to give it a little bit of depth and bring it off the page. So when I clicked edit image, these are all of our edit image options. Recently used, I just added a shadow on something, but here are other options that you have also. You can just brightness, contrast, and saturation. Here's all kinds of filters that you can put on there. Shadows, duotones, there are a lot of things in this edit image option. I'm just going to go ahead and click shadows. That's going to show me all the shadow options that I have, and I want to put this little angle behind it, and you see that cool little drop shadow that's back there now. If we wanted to copy this style, we could go up here and say copy style. And then if we wanted to put that same style on another image that we have in Canva, we could do that at that point. But I don't want to copy that style. The next thing we want to do is, yeah, this is kind of a cool orange color, but it really doesn't work with this particular image. So I'm going to select this graphic. And you see now that our menu options at the top have changed. And we have a color option now. So I'm going to click on the color option, and it's going to bring up our color options palette on the left. Document colors, these are the three colors that are already existing in this document. If I clicked on white, for example, it's going to change the color of that graphic to white. There are also default colors that stay here. Well, here's kind of a cool, that's the closest we've got, and that is definitely not the red color that we want. And that's kind of well, that's not it either. So what do we do at this point? We have the option on the top right to add a color. So if I click add a color, a lot of you have probably seen these color selection bars like this. So we can use two different ways to change the color. We can just click and drag either of these dots, or we can get the dot here on this slider and change the color this way. And as you do that, you just have to work with what kind of color you want. If you have a particular color for your business and you have that X number, you can type it in here. And this is a really cool Canva feature. This is what you can use to click this and you get an eyedropper tool. And with that eyedropper tool, you see how I've got this huge magnification of this photograph.
AJ,
Yep.
we're not seeing any of these color changes since you started the color part.
Oh,
We're like stuck.
really? Okay.
Yes. We're kind of back on delicious menu.
I'm seeing the
Now it-
color changes, but it's slightly
Is it delayed?
a little bit.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that. That will help me. Instead of, we'll do it this way. Do you see this crazy blue color in the background right now?
yes.
Okay. So since you see the crazy blue color in the background, which probably just turned to white. Is it white now? Can you see it white now?
Now it is. So yeah,
Okay.
slight delay is all.
Okay, all right. So I won't move the sliders in here because it's too much information, obviously, to try to pull through all of this and for you guys to see it in real time. So if I wanted to change these colors on this color bar, I could click this and drag it back and forth, or I could click on this circle and drag it anywhere in here. You can also type hex numbers in here if you have your hex numbers. And let's hope this works because this is a really cool feature that I would like to show you. There is a color picker there. And what happens here, and you guys tell me if you can see this. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so that color picker gave me this great big magnifying glass that I'm now hovering over this image and it's showing the colors in this image. When I click now, it has changed the background color to the color that I clicked on in the image. You guys still with me?
Yep.
Cool, thank you. And thanks for helping me keep up with you guys and letting me know when this is not when this timing is not working. So now we've got this color that's really closer to what we're doing and what we're going for color. And you can see that it's also added that color in our document colors. So anytime we want to use that color again, we can put that color in our pick it from our document colors. If I were actually working on this file, I would probably tweak this a little bit. But since we've got this timing delay on it, I'm going to leave that color just like it is and not bother with changing it. So we've got the image in there. We've got a nice background color. We're building this consistent look that we want from the original template that we used. So now let's look at what we can do with text. And I've got a pop-up something on my screen about somebody. I don't know if that's something that Jen or somebody needs to approve or not.
I'll take care of that, KJ.
Thank you. I didn't know if you could see it or not. Okay. Back on text. So I'm going to hover over this text box and click in it. Whenever you see text that's all selected in blue, that means that you can immediately start typing. Today's salad special. Okay, are you guys still with me as far as seeing me type in today's salad special?
Yep.
Cool, okay. So just stop me if things seem to be stuck at any point. So you can see what happened here is we ended up with our title on 2 lines. So just like in editing photos, that we can grab these side handles, pull it all the way out. Now it's on one line instead of two. And when we have these two lines, excuse me. So Carrie, for some reason, I keep getting a pop-up that pops up in the middle of my screen about requesting to annotate a shared content. Anyway, if we can get that to quit popping up on my screen, that'd be pretty handy. So back to the handles. A cool little tip, anytime you're doing something that you know you want your text centered in the middle of a document, always drag the handles out to either side, and anytime you type in here, your text is going to be centered in the middle of the document. So now we've got our text here, and we're going to change that color to green. So we're going to select all of the text. And because we're using text, we have text options that you are probably all familiar with at the top, with the exception of possibly the animate and effects options. Please go in and play with those in Canva when you have a chance to do that. We're going to change the color. And from that color, I click the color icon and it picks up colors again. We can do the same thing, and I'm not going to do it this time since just a few minutes ago we did pick a color out of an image since we're having a little delay on timing, but you could add another color that way or pick another color using the color bars. But here's something else that's really cool that Canva offers. If you look a little further down, now that we have this photo in here, it's showing us color options from that photo. How cool is that? So I'm just going to pick that color green and go, yep, I'm happy with that color green. And actually, that worked pretty darn well. Next thing we're going to do is change this text. Gargonzola and beet. And you can see that our text got really, really big here. So again, we're going to drag the handles out to either side. And to make this text smaller, there's a couple different options. If you know what size you want it or want to just take a guess, you can click this drop down and it's going to give you options. Here's the biggest one on here. We can also type numbers in that field. But let's say we selected that one and we go, oh, that's way too little. This is a really handy tip right here. You can click increase font size, but watch what happens. I'm just going to hold it down and it's going to keep getting bigger until I let go of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So here's something that I would like to point out in Canva. So you can see that when I move my little cursor around, I've got the I-beam going on right now. So that means that what I'm doing in this text box is typing. Well, I don't want to type right now. I want to move the darn thing. But I've got a bar that says I can rotate it if I want to rotate it. It even tells me what degree I'm rotating it to, which is pretty cool. But I want to move it. So what do? Why sometimes Canva has a move option right here and why sometimes it doesn't, I'm not sure. But when you run into that, it's not something you did wrong. It's just a Canva thing. Click off to the side so that you're out of the text options. Click on it again and you can see that I don't have an I-beam now in my type area. And now I can drag it down to move it. So far it's looking pretty good. This is looking much more like what I want it to look like for my little restaurant that I have. And I start looking at this and go, wait a minute, this photo is on top of all of these other cool elements that I want in here. So what do I do about that? I look at this photo and go, well, okay, I'm going to select it. And then again, remember, anytime you have an item selected, you have options for that item in the top. One of the options for this photo is position. So if we look at the position, we can move this photo backward. We can move it all the way to the back. If more than one object were selected, we could align them in any of these ways that we wanted to align them, or we could align this one to the page. Let's see what happens when we say move it all the way to the back. Well, it went all the way to the back, all right, it all the way behind this graphic. Well, that's not quite where we want it. So move it forward is going to move it just forward in front of the next closest element. that got it in the place that we wanted it. One thing I want to point out, which is really cool, anytime you see this symbols beside a menu in just about any program, that's your keyboard shortcut for using that forward and backward. So if I hold my command key down on my Mac and I hit my bracket keys forward and back, it's going to move my image forward and back in relation to other elements. So far, so good on this. Well, we forgot to change our text. And are you guys still with me on text down here?
For me, there's still a little lag, but I see you're on order now.
Okay, that's where we're supposed to be. Okay, so order now from link in text below. So we ended up going on, I didn't spell below, right? Okay, so we ended up with the type going on 2 lines. So we're going to drag this out a little bit longer. This time we're going to change the font on this. So I've got my I-beam in here, and I'm going to go up to my options at the tops, and I see that I have text options available. If I click on this drop-down menu beside the font, it's going to bring up all of my font options on the left. I've got fonts that are showing in my document or that are currently used in my document. Canva recommends fonts, and these are fonts that I have recently used. There are so many fonts, and I'm not going to scroll through this because I'm pretty sure that it's not going to keep up with the scroll, but there are a myriad of fonts. You can also type in, do you want sans or script, or if you know the name of the font, you can type that in the search area up here. So let's say we're going to go with this font called Glacial Indifference. And I want order now to be bold. And I want all of it to be just slightly smaller. So I'm going to click on the decrease arrow a couple times and go, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. Pretty close to what I'm looking for. Okay, now we have these other elements that we need to do something with. So take a look at when I hover over this 50% off, there is a circle. There's another little circle thing, and there's also the type that is here. So this is 3 different elements. I'm going to move the 50% off to the side a little bit so you can see that there are 3 different elements here. Sometimes that can create problems when you stack elements together and you want them to stay together. So if you want elements to stay together, if you select one, hold your shift key down, select the next one, hold your shift key down and select the third one. And then you can see that we have this little option menu at the top for more. If you click on that option menu, and you guys should see a pop-up window now. And in that pop-up window, one of the options is to group those 3 elements that I have selected. When I ask it to group, anytime I select this element, you can see this little dotted line around it. So if I move it, if I enlarge it, no matter what I do to it at this point, those 3 elements are going to stay together. So I don't want those 3 elements on there. I want something that looks more like my brand. So I'm just going to hit the delete key and get rid of those. And we're going to create our new 895 symbol and text that's going to go in this corner. So I'm going to go back to elements. And you see that I have recently used elements here. And because we will probably have a delay if I try to show you how to search for elements, just know that you can type in, if you want an oval shape or a red shape or any of these other things, that you can type those in your search menu. Since I've got that little element that I recently used it, I'm just going to grab it out of here instead of taking the time to search for it. One thing I would like to point out on this before I do that though, any elements that you have selected in this menu, if you click that little hamburger, it'll tell you details about it. And this is really cool where it says star. So if I clicked star on this, it is going to take that image and stick it in my star folder, so that whenever I wanted to use it again, if it's something you use regularly or really like and just want to make a collection of them, clicking on it and saying you want to use this to put it in your star folders, and you get there from this little hamburger menu. So this is the little oval that I want to use. I am just going to click and drag it over here. And the same thing again, if I want to make it larger or smaller. So I'm going to click on it and drag it to the side. That's about the size that I want it. But I don't really, this yellow doesn't really work with everything else for me. I either want it to be this maroon color or a green. And you notice on our options at the top, we now have two colors that we could choose from. So the white is the inside color, the yellow is the stroke color. I'm going to click on the yellow. It shows that that's what is selected. And how cool is this? Again, now we have two new document colors. Do I want it to be green or do I want it to be the maroon color? I'll go with the maroon color this time. That looks pretty good. So I click back in my document window. Now I've got the maroon color around there, and we have looked at how to edit text, but we've not looked at how to add text. So I'm going to go over to the text menu on the left-hand side. And there are some really, really cool text options. So if you know what font you want, you can type it in here, but you can click just add a heading. You can look at recently used. And again, I'm not going to scroll through this because I doubt the bandwidth will be able to keep up with it, but there are all kinds of pre-made options for text and fonts and things with cool little glows behind them and all kinds of styles that you can use when you scroll through here. But since I just want a really basic $8.95, I'm going to click on add heading. It's going to put this heading in the middle of my file. It's already highlighted in blue. The only thing I have to do is start typing and say $8.95. Okay, and here we are again. I'm ready to move it. I've got this I-beam. I want to move it. I can't click on and move it because clicking is going to make it type. So I'm going to click off to the side. Click it a second time so that I don't have the I-beam. You can also use your escape key for that. Good handy keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to take this over here. I'm going to grab this rotate handle down underneath it, rotate it a little bit. And because I want a font that's a little bit more in keeping with this rough organic texture on my background and a little bit more in keeping with the style of my business and the decor inside also, I am going to go back to fonts again. And then here we have again, document fonts, recently used fonts. And this font, because I did look for it earlier, is recently used. I'm going to click on it. Now we have an $8.95 that kind of fits everything a little bit better. I'm going to stick it in there, size it a little bit. And the only thing we have left to do is a couple elements that we want to move around. So this cool little arrow, and here is that move handle that I keep talking about. It showed up on this one. So I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to rotate it. Part of why I'm doing this in relation to design in general is because I am going to have a link to my website that talks about this. And ideally, I want people to go to my website. That's why I'm putting the link in my text below. And that's why I've got this arrow to draw attention. I'm going to snuggle that over there by order now because I want those things together design-wise. The other thing that I'm going to do in relation to that same idea, because the link is in the text below, these cool little arrows or I call them arrows. They're these cool little stars, kind of work as arrows. So I want to use them to point to the word below and also point below. Cool little design tip. And I'm going to take these, move them over a little bit, rotate it, and there we have it. We went from this rough menu that was really cool, starter template, and now we have a design that looks like our design. The next thing that I am going to do, because this is going to be used as my template, I am going to duplicate this page with the duplicate button at the top. And now I've got two of them. One of them, I am going to lock the page. And I want to lock it because I don't want to inadvertently mess it up. And then at that point, and I'm going to go to this other window and show you what I have done. And hopefully this scroll through will scroll through fast, will keep up with us. So that's the one that we just created. That's kind of the style that we want for our business. The only things that I have done on this one is change the copy and the photo. That took maybe 5 minutes at most to make another post. Change the color, got a little creative, moved things around a little bit. Are you guys seeing avocado toast right now? Hey, Jen, are you guys seeing avocado toast?
Robin's
Yes.
nodding.
Okay, okay. I just didn't want to have trouble with scrolling through this. So there's another one that we just moved elements around and changed a few photos. Just a couple minutes to do that. This one still has our same design look. And it's another special that was so easy to recreate after we designed that template to be what we wanted it to be. Here's another cool feature in Canva. If you look down on the bottom right-hand side, it's a grid view. So all of the pages that I have in this Canva file, when we click grid view, here's the original where I started. And the really cool thing to pay attention to and look at here is look how similar all of these look. If you see those anywhere and you start recognizing that these are coming from Main Street Cafe, anytime you see one of these, you're going to go, oh, that's Main Street Cafe special. And after you created the first one, the others are pretty darned easy. So let me go back to this other Canva window. Does anyone have any questions at this point? And then I'll show you some more ideas.
I have one question, KJ. I'm wondering, you have the link in the text below. Is it possible to embed the link in the image? And is that even advisable, or is it better to have a customer go to the link in the text?
That's an excellent question, Jennifer. I'm glad you asked that, because the images that you upload to social media are either JPEG, GIFs, or PNGs. You can't put an image, excuse me, let me say this correctly. Those images don't support links within them. They are just images. So that's why I'm saying order now from the link below, because you can't put a link in a static image, and I want customers to go below.
Great, thank you. Also, we're doing this webinar before lunch, and your delicious food pictures are making people hungry.
Okay, so let's get away from food then. So for example, here is an idea for a salon or any other business, but I thought salon when I saw this photo and thought this would be a fun one to use. This is an actual Canva template. So let's say that I've got this little salon and I want to do something really simple to everybody and say happy birthday to everybody on their social media. But man, if you start thinking about how do you do one of those every time, how many people follow you and how long would it take to do that, would be an all-day project maybe. Here's how you can make something like that really simple. So from the original Canva template, I wrote happy birthday, come in for a free gift because you want to get people in your store. In this one, I actually put the physical address of my business on the template. And part of that is because of the fact that I'm hoping this is going to get shared. These little things that you see falling down here, if you can actually see the animation in those are little animations that you can get in your elements section. The only thing I have to do at this point is change the person's name and save it. You could do a dozen of those in 10 minutes, easy, just by duplicating the page and changing the name. The next example, say we have the same little salon. This was a cool little same color features. It kind of caught my eye and went, oh, darn, I've got these 3 new products coming in. So here's how you can create a cool little teaser post. So skincare in-store testing. And I'm going to list all 3 of these products that I have coming in. And I'm going to say more information in the link below. This is going to be the basic idea. And here's how you make it a really cool teaser. This would be your first post. You're invited, 3 new products coming soon. Information below. And that's all you give them because you want them to come back and look again. The way that I did this is just on top of all of that text, I took a white box and I made it partially transparent in the transparency menu. So if I click on that, that white box is 70% transparent. You can kind of see through there. You get this invited, it gets you interested. The next post, how simple is this to change? You bring the white box down so that you show the name of the first product, the date that that's happening, and move your invited down. Your third post, do the same thing. You show the second item, the time, the information, and the date. And then the fourth post. And then you could even at that point do a thanks for coming using the same idea and put all that together on a thanks for coming. So the next one, this one's really kind of fun and different. I like the playfulness of this. And one of the things that I started playing with in here is just some cool design and editing tips. First thing I did, here's a cool photo that this particular business has that they've got an idea coming up. They like the look and feel of it, but how's this going to work for this big business, which is skydiving and base jumping, sky sports? So design tips on doing that, change the placement of objects. Now, the placement that I changed was this object and these 2. And again, a design tip, why I changed the placement of these 2 to do this kind of movement is because I'm showing you this stuff on Canva and I want you to go, oh, what's down below there? So that kind of subtly says there's something coming up next. So what's coming up next? Just change the colors to work with the photo. Super simple. You can pick the colors out of the photo. Change the background and make it a solid color or a gradient. And I used a background that's got this kind of watercolor look with it. Once you've got this basic idea done for your business that fits the look and the style that you're going for in your business, teaser, an experience awaits you soon. More information in the link below. Oh, what's going on? This could look cool. Look at this guy coming off a cliff in a kite. Get out and play. Intro class. Date and time. The only thing I did was change the text. A different class coming up. Try it out. Tandem flights and demos. Change the text. That's all you had to do on that one. Change the photo. Maybe change the background to match the photo. And all of that came from this template. So I would really encourage you to think outside the box when you're thinking about templates and how you can use them. This one, let's see, where did it? Yep, here we go. This one, we're really going to think outside the box on this one. This is a really high intense, dark-ish looking because the photos are dark. But I look at this and go, this has some potential. I have a coffee shop and I'm going to do an event every month Look at how this totally changed the look of this. I got rid of the dark photos and I got rid of the dark background color and left it white. Part of why I left it white, I'm going to print these in-house and I don't want a lot of background color on the text because I don't want the extra expense of that. Change the fonts a little bit. Go, okay, our first event is Coffee and Coats Fun Run. These are 2 images that I actually got from Canva. So the elements that are always going to stay there are what the event is, a little information about the event. This is something that I want to keep prominent, that it's going to benefit, and this one benefits one warm coat, date, location, information. So to finish that poster up, we added something for fun, roll out of bed and join us. Every runner gets a free Kickstart coffee, put our information here. Now it's ready to go. And what else can we do with this? Well, next month, we've got something coming up called date night. Couples coffees need a new date night. What it benefits? Your relationship. How cool is that? Information down here. Look at the total difference in change from this file to this file. So really think outside the box when you're thinking about what you can do with Canva. One other thing that I'm going to show you in Canva real quickly is this is a file that I made. I took a blank file. It's an 18 by 24. And I just put all of my particular design information on it that I use on a regular basis. These are all of my colors. I can actually copy and paste those colors if I want to. These are fonts that I know, okay, these are fonts that I use when I'm in Canva. This is my tagline, some text that I often use, my contact information. So I've got all of that stuff in Canva already, and I've saved it to a file so I don't have to go, wait, where's that color? Where did I keep that on my computer? Because those kind of things can go on and on for us. And we all know how we have done that and tried to find things sometimes. So that's the basics of Canva. Right now we've got like 10 minutes left. I've got a couple slides that I would like to run through real quick with you that could be some good information and additional ways that you can do things in Canva. Cool little files, change just the name out. That's a really cool thing that you can do. Another idea that you can do, Berkshire Hathaway, I do a lot of work for them, for their agents. Once I set this up, the only thing I had to do was change the photograph of those agents out. This is another cool little file. Same thing, but I have to grab this in, come on, there we go. Because this animation won't play. Oh, come on. Excuse my delay, because this animation won't play through Acrobat. This is an animation from First Homes to Forever Homes, your forever agent, Berkshire Hathaway. So the only thing that I have to do here to do this for each individual agent is change the agent photo. And I don't know if can you guys see this rollover on this GIF image?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay. So design and marketing, things that you want to think about when you're considering design and marketing, generate interest in social media, ask questions, give choices, create teasers. Teasers are wonderful. And actually, when you start beginning to build those, you find all kinds of cool ways when you think about them. Motion graphics, animated GIFs are always handy. There are, and I would really like to emphasize this, there are a lot of ways in Canva to create animated GIFs. Some of them end up with big files, some of them end up with smaller size files, and that's going to make a difference, but we don't have time to go into all of that today. And then put active links in the posts like we've been looking at constantly. Workflow, I cannot say enough. Do you know where your files are? How many of us have spent time? I've been doing this for 30 years and I still sometimes find myself lax about keeping my files organized properly. File naming systems. The number of times I've heard people say, well, if I could remember what I named it, I'd be able to search for it and find it. And then using keyboard shortcuts. Those are all really, really handy tips for workflow. And I think we've got to yep, I'm coming up with more than one screen at a time here. Engagement and design ideas. And I'm just going to go to the last slide because they might be a little bit slow. Think outside the box when you're using Canva templates or any kind of templates and building them, like, for example, the one of the gym with the dark colors that we changed to the coffee shop, and expand your ideas and think about how can you make things a series so that you can get more use out of everything that you create. And then brainstorm with other people. That's a huge thing once you start brainstorming for ideas to get more information and figure out what else you can do. An interesting thing that I heard once many years ago, I had the opportunity to listen to a scientist that won a Nobel Prize speak. And one of the things that he said was, Nobel Prizes don't come from talking to people in our own profession and the people that we work with on a daily basis. They come from talking to people that we don't regularly see. They come from talking to artists and musicians and athletes and engineers. And I went, that makes so much sense, because then you get different ideas from different people. So questions, if you have any questions, and we can hop back to Canva if you want to look at anything else on there. Because you joined us today and because I'm a real coffee person, let's have coffee. If you've got ideas that you would like to share, I'll be happy to do a free 20-minute consultation with any of you. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you so much for all the great information. I've been watching the chat here, and besides people getting hungry for lunch from the photos, I don't have anything new for you at this time. I do appreciate all of the great information. There's so much there, and also your offer to have a 20-minute consultation with anyone here who would like to, maybe share some specific questions with you at that point. Any want to show that? Oh, we've got one. A thank you in the chat from Belinda, and also Amy has asked, where is the best place to edit in Canva, desktop versus the app?
I always use the desktop because that just tends to work well for me. And I have honestly not used the app, so I couldn't answer that question for you.
Great.
Okay, I'm going to back up and add one thing about the app. If you are comfortable and do this sort of thing on your phone or on a tablet, the app in that case would be the best place to edit.
Melissa also says, thank you, very informational. I might add a tiny bit to that desktop versus app question.
Yes,
not regarding Canva in particular, but when I'm trying to move files from my phone to other software, I'm okay with a lot of technology, but I can find it easier to import a photo that I've taken with my phone into the software through the app. But then I personally get on the desktop after that, or the laptop, and then work with the photo I imported from my phone in the software on my desktop because I find the desktop easier for all of the detail, but the app can be helpful for getting photos in the right place. So that's just me. Maybe that'll be helpful to you too, Amy.
that's a good idea. Yeah. And I guess it would just depend on what device you're most comfortable with using.
Yeah. We got a few more thank yous here in the chat from Veronica, Jorand. Taylor also says that's how I do it too. So sounds like maybe some other folks are using the app for photo uploads. So great. Any other questions out there? You can put it in the chat, or you could unmute and ask KJ if you've got anything else. Otherwise, we will wrap things up here since we're getting to the end of our time, and leave it to you guys to get in touch with KJ if you want to follow up with her with any specific questions.
Thank you guys all for coming today. I enjoy doing these kinds of things.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing so much information in this amount of time. And just to reiterate, we will be posting this online and you can, drill down to on anything that you'd like at that time. And we will be hosting another webinar in April, again, the first Thursday. And next month, we are going to be looking at financial statements and how to use them to maximize profit and make good business decisions. So that link will be going up if you want to register for that event as well. So thank you so much again, KJ and Carrie, and Rich has already jumped off, but everyone that helps put the webinar series together. Thanks for all your time and for everyone for attending today. Great to see you all out. Thank you so much.
One quick question. Are you going to send out a link to the video and the information to all the participants?
Yes, Rich is in charge of that usually, so we will get that out along with there's usually a follow-up survey to just get feedback on the topic and how things went for folks. So that should be coming out next week.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, have
Nice
a great
to
day,
see you.
everyone, and see you next month.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Carrie.
Jen, Joel will send you all the information tomorrow when he's in the office.
Oh yeah, thank you. I saw that in
Okay.
the chat. Yeah, that'll be great. And I'll let Rich know because I think he'll follow up with, like I said, with that closing survey and the participants. So that'll be great. That'll be fine. I think he's gonna do it the first next week anyway. So that'll be great. Tomorrow would be perfect.
Okay.
Thanks for
Yep. Have a good
standing
day.
technology. You too.
Yeah.
Bye.